Hello, everyone's Forest Focus as Nottingham Forest press lock corners with Luton Town again, this time in the FA Cup. It's been a tough season and a big week for the surprise championship strugglers with manager Robert Edwards leaving today as we record this. So with all that in mind, it's great to get the opposition perspective this week from Hatters fan Dan Ashby. Dan, it's been a busy day, I guess, for you, but how are you doing?
Yeah, doing all right personally. Yeah, as you mentioned, big day, quite a sad day as well, obviously, with what Edwards did for us over the last couple of years. But in general, it's probably the correct decision. Could probably have, should and could have happened a bit earlier, but the board have tried to be loyal to successful manager. Yeah, so sad news, but the correct news, I think.
What's gone wrong this season? Because when you looked at the recruitment last season, you looked at it and thought, oh, they've actually, they've signed good players who'll do well in the championship if they get relegated, like Chong and Kaminsky and people like that, and you kept a lot of them. And from a distance, I thought, oh, you'll be challenging for the playoffs, and it's not really transpired like that at all. So, what's gone wrong? Is it cascaded from a bad start, or what?
With all these things, it's not just one thing, it's a number of things. I don't think we got recruitment right. We managed to keep a lot of our players, barring the big one. Obviously, Barkley was never going to stay. We lost Lukonga on loan. Bene went to Ipswich, but we kept like Doughty, Morris, Adebayo, as you mentioned, Chong, Kaminsky. Um, I think we didn't add the right players to the system Rob wanted to play when we came down. Um, he wanted to move to a 3-4-3, and we didn't really have the right players in centre mid. We're never going to be able to replace Ross Bartley and Lukonga, and we didn't really do that well enough. We also started the season slowly. We had terrible injuries towards the end of the Premier League season, um, mainly in defence. But we basically started the season with one fit centre back. Um, and then you're having to chuck players in who aren't fully fit. They keep getting injured again. So that's not been ideal. But the main reason why we've not been doing well is he's been quite stubborn with his formation, apart from, funnily enough, the QPR match where we changed shape and we lost anyway, but we played a bit better attacking wise. So yeah, I think it's the correct decision. Probably should have gone 6 weeks ago, but I can understand why the board wanted to stay a bit loyal to him. But yeah, it's ended us in a relegation battle, which um, not many Luton fans expected. Um, yeah, it's not gone great, not gone ideal.
Did the fans turn on him then? Twitter's never the right place to judge, but you saw. I was looking at some tweets earlier. Fans were pretty annoyed, like you say, quite a few weeks ago. But in the ground and or watching on TV, had the fans turned, or were they still behind him towards the end?
Right. Most of them had turned, I'd say, um, which is a shame because what he did for us is unprecedented, really, in modern day history. Um, he sort of put up a fight in the Premier League as well. Obviously, made it look a bit closer with obviously the point deductions last year. Um, but just the way our club is, we were massively punching above our weights in the championship. I think when we got promoted, we had a bottom six championship budget. We didn't massively extend ourselves. Um, a lot of the money has gone towards the new stadium, which is going to be built in 3 or 4 years. So he set us up. He's basically, I think we've brought in or will bring in about a quarter of a billion from the Premier League, but just got to try and stay in the championship until we get the new stadium, and then overnight, I think our revenue will probably double, if not triple. So just makes us more of a sustainable championship club. Whereas at the minute, realistically, we're probably top League One, um, bottom Championship if we didn't have the parachute payments.
So, how are you viewing this game then? Is this a welcome distraction or something you're really not bothered about because all focus is on a relegation battle?
Um, I, I I don't think either club really wants the game, if being honest. Yeah, it's hard to know what lineup we're going to pick. Um, we
Who's
could
in charge, by
continue.
the way? Is it a caretaker or you have
Um,
a new manager in, will you?
oh, we won't have a new manager. It's apparently that we got two. We had two assistant managers who was under Edwards, and when we're in an emergency, we bring out Mickey Harford, so
Yeah.
he'll be there, and yeah, he's like the face of Luton, so he'll be about as well. So yeah, those three will have an input. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure what formation. Um, I think we might go fairly strong though. We just got to just get a bit of positivity around the club. So going up to yours and getting hammered won't won't breathe that. So yeah, uh, maybe stronger than I would have expected a few weeks ago.
Do you think you're going to get hammered then? Because I mean, I must admit, we did our match preview earlier, and even in our projected teams with a lot of changes, we still think Forest will win comfortably. But are you seeing it that way as well, or do you think you can put up a good fight?
I mean, we've lost 10 away league games in a row, so I mean,
Jeez.
yeah, no, and all of those we conceded at least two, apart from one, I think. So yeah, I'm not, I haven't got much confidence. But yeah, you never know. We might come up, bank up 4-5-1 or 5-4-1, make it a bit trickier. But yeah, I haven't got much hope.
Do you see it as a bit of a
Um,
free hit? I mean, I suppose.
oh, yeah, it'll be a bit of a free hit, and we've still got obviously Morris and Adebayo will cause you some problems. I think Alfie Doughty, he's been out injured the last 6 weeks. Apparently, he's pretty close to coming back, so it's just whether we risk him. If we do, it might be like 10, 15 minutes off the bench. So yeah, I realise I'm probably not being that help, but it's a nightmare. I don't know what the team will be. I don't even know what shape we're gonna line
Does
up
that
in.
help? I
But
mean, not for Forest don't know it. They're probably prepared with in mind with we're going to play. We're going to face a team playing three at the back. We know roughly who's playing, or at least the style. Is that an element of jeopardy? Do you think for Forest?
maybe, but um, like I said, they could just go back to a back five because that's what the players know.
Mm.
Although, like we don't know, maybe we're looking for a manager that plays, I don't know, four at the back moving forward, and they'll get told to play four at the back. You just don't know. And what thrown a bit of a spanner in the works was, like I said, against QPR we did play 4-2-3-1. So it's just massively up in the air. Um, I would probably edge back to three at the back or four. Well, it'll be five at the back though at your at your place. I'd have thought.
So, in terms of key men, then you mentioned Morris and Adebayo. I mean, quite a few Forest fans would gladly have signed either of them. Certainly, Adebayo did well in the Premier League. Are they the main men for you still this season?
Yeah, probably they've struggled a bit, but that's mainly been from we've not been great creatively for them, especially recently. Although I think Morris has 7 goals and Adebayo's probably I think got 4 or 5. So it's not been terrible, but it's not been great. Um, our biggest threat is probably from set pieces.
Mm.
I know we haven't scored an open play goal that wasn't like a basically a team playing out from the back and passing you the ball since I think October, and I think
God.
half of our goals have come from set pieces. So similar to the Premier League, we're very good from set pieces.
I guess this is a wider question. Obviously, things are going terribly at the moment, and you've been up and down over the years. You still have taken that season in the Premier League, even though it's gone pretty wrong, horribly wrong since then, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like 10 years ago, I was watching us play against Hyde United
Yeah.
in the conference. So yeah, it's really hard to put it into like context, because obviously we were watching Luton play in the non-league. Um, so in some ways, you feel like you should be grateful for watching Championship football, but obviously we've now seen what the Premier League's like, um, and I think it's just in general, like teams that come down from the Premier League, they normally finish playoffs, and
Mm.
we've managed to somehow be bottom six. So yeah, it's just Luton. It's just been up and down. Um, but for the last 10 years, it's we've basically improved near enough every year for about 10 years, and at some point, it was obviously going to sort of regress to the mean. Not sure, quite sure where that is though with Luton. I think
Just
since I've been watching this, I think there's been so many relegations and promotions. I started when I was a kid, and we went from Championship down to League Two. We then back went from League Two to the Championship. We then went into really bad financial struggles where we got relegated 3 years in a row. Um, Ended up in non-league. We're in non-league for 5 years, and then gone up the crazy rise. So yes, it's probably the most eventful club to watch in English football over the last 30 years. I don't think there's many that can compete.
we're having a go at the moment. We're trying. Does that make it even
Well,
harder in a way to part with Edwards? Because he'd given you so much. It's like with Cooper, I guess, for us. It must have made it a little bit more bitter because he'd done so much for you, but results still count no matter what the sentiment is, I guess.
yeah, that's actually a good comparison with Cooper, because obviously he took you up. Yeah, it is hard, but then like there is a high possibility that if we kept with Edwards, we were going to end in League One. Um, you can, I think, as fans, you can tell when a manager is doing the right things, even though we might not know tactically as much as they do. When they start making decisions like playing players out of positions,
Hmm.
taking 10 minutes to make subs when you've gone 1-0 down with 20 minutes to go, it's the writing's on the wall, really. But history will be kind to Edwards in about a year or two's time. As long as we don't get relegated, he'll be one of our most successful managers of all time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Just before I ask Dan about a bit more about his thoughts on Forest and the game, just a reminder: double stamps at the Trent Navigation all through January. You can get 2 stamps for every pint you buy throughout the month. Just ask for a card at the bar, or you can get a new card if you need one. So, yeah, thanks very much to the Nav for their support as ever. Right, Mark Southern set this up, which means he plays a lot of FPL. I play a lot of FPL, so I'm sure you do as well. Which means you probably watch a lot of Premier League football. So I'm assuming you're well placed to talk about Forest. What have you made of them this season?
Um, to be honest, I've not watched too much of Forest, but I think towards the end of last season, Nuno had sort of set his stall out and sort of got you in playing in with a good shape. Um, and I know it. I think was it the last day or the last few game weeks you weren't safe, but
Mhm.
if you didn't have the points deduction, you would have stayed up quite comfortably. Funnily enough, I actually thought last season, going into the season, you would have been about mid-table. So I'm not massively surprised. I know a lot of been made about the massive number of signings you made. I think 2 years ago. All the seasons seems to roll into to one another, but there's definitely a more structured recruitment at Forest, a clear plan moving forward. So yeah, I'm not sure quite thought you'd be up, um, well, challenging for Europe and the title, but yeah, I didn't think you'd get relegated
What
or
would
be anywhere.
be Well, before I ask you about the players that worry you from Forest, what would be Luton's biggest weaknesses then this season? Particular areas of
Well,
the pitch. Before I ask you which players can hurt you, where's it gone wrong specifically?
our defence is pretty shambolic.
Well, there you go. Well, open
Well,
play and set pieces.
um, more so open play, I'd say. Um, but yeah, it's not been good.
So, which players would worry you then? I'm guessing you're just going to say the wingers and Gibbs White and Wood
Yeah,
then in
just
that
would.
sense.
Yeah, I think Wood scored a few against us last year. I think he
Yeah,
definitely
he did.
scored at
Yeah.
the he definitely scored at the home game, and I think
Mm.
he got a couple at your. Can't
He
remember.
got
He
two.
went two up.
He got two, and he had a
Yeah, I
third
think yeah,
disallowed. Yeah, and then obviously that game. I mean, was a big one in our season because it was probably the beginning of the end of Cooper when we were 2-0 up, I recall, and he took off players from the spine of the team. You brought on, was it Adebayo had been injured and came back in and just bullied Joe
he'd
Worrell
been
and
out of he'd been out of favour because we started the season with two up front, and then we sort of moved to 5-4-1, and he'd
yeah,
obviously got dropped for Morris, and he came up and he bullied Worrell, didn't he?
yeah.
If I remember correctly, he scored that good goal where he took it down on his chest.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then obviously at our place, I- I'm not sure how we got anything from that game, considering our team was so threadbare with injuries, and we got like a
Yeah,
last minute equaliser, I think.
yeah, I remember that game as well.
Luke
It's
Berry, I think.
Nuno's way, like this season, is obviously you get 1-0 up and you put players on to protect a lead. We've got a lot better players this season to do it, and
Yeah,
I think now at the time I was really critical of him for making those changes, and now I see why he's doing it. We've got Morato coming on, and last season Felipe's legs were gone. I remember, and it just didn't work. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, they were big games for us. Did you think you were staying up at any point, just out of curiosity, last season?
um, last year around about Christmas, we went on a pretty decent one. We hammered Brighton at home 4-0.
Mm,
And then the game after, we were 4-2 up at Newcastle, and we ended up drawing 4-4. And I thought we were going to stay up then because Adebayo was on really good form. Barkley was being talked about getting in the England squad, and he was playing really well. But we then went on a run where we were just losing games, and then, like I mentioned, injuries hit in, and we were playing players that were basically average championship players, and they were having to play in the Premier League, and it was just, yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. We didn't pick up many points um, for the last 15 games. I doubt if we got 7, 8 points, something like that.
yeah, yeah. I remember it. Remember it well, obviously, because we were the ones battling you. I said earlier as well. Gibbs, White, Hudson-Odoi, and Elango. That's just force of habit. I suspect it will be Jota Silva, Ramon Sosa, and I don't know, James Ward-Prowse, and then Tyro Awoniyi up front. I assume you're going to tell me that still worries you.
Um, well, we got ripped apart by Plymouth away from home. So Wayne Rooney's Plymouth. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried.
Oh dear. I mean, so, let's say you do lose the game. I take it you're going to tell me, Walsall Ducks back in a sense, because you expect to, and then it's all about the next. I don't know how many games you've got. 20 games left in the championship or whatever it is.
Yeah, so obviously we got you on Saturday, and then I think we got a week until Preston at home. So I'm guessing the plan is to get a new manager in early next week, and then we've got 20 games, and you know what the championship like? That's
Mm.
basically Saturday, Tuesday for the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
yeah, the most important thing is just to stay up, and then we've still got another parachute payment coming next year, and then hopefully we can start pushing towards the playoffs again. But the most important thing is just to stay in the championship until the stadium's built,
Mm.
and then long term, theoretically, that should enable us to be an established championship club, maybe flirting with the Premier League at times.
Mm. Mm. Definitely, definitely. Right. Thanks very much to everyone who's watched along. Really good insight there from Dan. If you've enjoyed this, do us a favor and hit like, do subscribe, and you can become a channel member or sign up for Patreon. Or if not, just give us a lovely 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. We'll be back after the game tomorrow with aforementioned Mark and not sure who else actually, someone else. And then on Monday, we'll review this game, but we'll turn our attentions more to Liverpool, obviously back in the Premier League. Dan, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate that, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
No, very good of you to do this. People don't know, like my email dropped into Dan's junk box, and then he saw it. He got back to me, and within an hour, we're talking, which is like a dream for me because the challenge of doing this is often admin more than talking. Although I make it look pretty hard if people saw me do the advert earlier today as I record this. Right, have a good evening, everyone, or a good day. If we don't see you on Saturday, then we shall see you soon.